Help me ducks, it's Simon here. Welcome to the Hermit's Cave. Happy Sunday to everybody. I just thought I'd just come on and just have a little bit of a play. Just, you know, a bit of fun, having a look at one of my favourite decks. I've been pottering about this morning. I was up about 6 o'clock. I don't know why, but at the moment, don't seem to be needing as much sleep as I usually do. I think it's just because in this situation that we're in, we're not really tiring ourselves out. So I've been, like I do on usually on a Sunday, I've done my stuff for the Hermit's Cave Facebook group, like the weekly OM, and I've done my week ahead spread. I've been using the Monica Boditsky's Shadowland Tarot and Oracle deck. And it's just a day today to play with cards. And yesterday on Cup of Ketchup and Cards, I mentioned I've got the second edition of the Tarot Des Aux Arcs. And yeah, whilst this deck in particular, this first edition, appears on all of my pre-recorded videos, because I did that a year last December. That's why there's a Christmas tree up in the opening kind of title sequence. The deck that it focuses on just before you hear me talk is this Tarot Des Aux Arcs. And I don't know, I just thought that I'd done a walkthrough of it. And one or two people have said to me that they don't know a lot about this deck. And have I done a walkthrough? And I've been saying, yes, I've done a walkthrough. And I've gone back and searched and I had a look, and I don't think I ever did. So all I can assume is that I perhaps did a walkthrough in a Cup of Ketchup and Cards, and, you know, therefore searching for it hasn't shown any kind of any results. So this is, I think, probably certainly in my top 5, but in terms of a non-traditional Marseille style deck, it's probably my second favorite deck, first being New Choice Tarot de Marseille. And for a traditional kind of Marseille, then the Dodal is my favorite. What I'll do as well is just a little bit of a cheat at the end about reading pips, because I know a lot of people again contact me saying I've learnt with the RWS system, which is what I did when it comes to learning tarot, and I just really don't know how to even begin reading pip cards. So I'll give you a little cheat, and it is, you know, kind of my understanding of the basic numerology between 1 to 10, as a starting point to then kind of throw open the floodgates for your imagination and intuition and interpretation and everything lovely like that. So yeah, so this is a look at the Tarot Des Aux Arcs, kind of side by side, but from what I understand, there are no differences to the cards, just the back. So this was the original, which was released back end of 2018. I got it, I think, in the December of 2018. Absolutely fell in love with it. But not everybody loved these backs, and they said it was too Christmassy. It looked like Christmas wrapping paper. So I think Laurie, who's the deck creator, Laurie LePage is the creator of the Ozark Tarot, has come up with this alternative back. And if you go to Printer Studio, information will be below. You'll see that it's called Tarot Des Aux Arcs 2. It actually describes it as a yellow back. This is not yellow to me. This is orange, or maybe even peach, but certainly not what I would call yellow, unless I'm suddenly colourblind. But that is the one, and I believe it's been corrected now, but when I ordered it, it was still showing these back. So people have been quite hesitant to order the second one because they still thought they was getting this one. This was ordered about 4 or 5 weeks ago. It came yesterday, and it is, you know, with the new backs. So a little bit about the deck. So as I said, it was done in 2018. The creator is Laurie Lepage. And the name, although it sounds French, it isn't. So it's a play on words. Aux Arcs, whilst it might sound French and it's trying to, you know, emulate the Marseille system, it's just because of where Laurie is from. She's from the Aux Arcs, so you could actually call it Marseille Des Aux Arcs, and that would be absolutely fine. The artwork is done in beautiful acrylic paints, and it is just delicious. It is bursting with vibrancy, bursting with life. They're very, some cards are quite garish, some are they're all very artistic, but some are also a little bit darker and more sinister. Perhaps some of the later suit cards in particular, which really kind of add to the energy of that card as well. So it's quite clever how that's done. The titles are in French, again, to kind of replicate Marseille. I'm saying replicate Marseille, but Laurie herself said in an interview somewhere that this wasn't a Marseille deck. But that's for you to decide. What I will say is I edged this one, and that might seem like quite a random colour, but there are lots of blues, particularly in the minors. And, you know, there was, as I mentioned before, Kelly Bear gifted me, I think it was for my birthday. Let's turn these around this way now. I'm trying to think where I've popped it now. Oh, it's over on the settee. But she did me a pouch that had this beautiful blue as an inside and this kind of wine colour on the outside, so it matched perfectly. But when I edged this, it's not too bad on this card. There were some bleeding that happened on the corners, so I wasn't happy, and I wanted a backup, but as I said yesterday in the live, it wasn't available. So I was thrilled when I knew that there was a second edition. So I'm just going to show the cards really and just have some fun. I was going to go through them together. Now I've noticed there's a little dint, a tiny little dint there. I can live with it. It's been prodded with something. It's very faint on the Magician card, and then it's gone all together. So there is a small dint there, but not enough for me to write and complain or anything like that. So I've got a mug of tea, and it's pucker, peppermint and licorice, which was sent to me this week by my friend Sandra when we traded some decks. I have my favourite incense lit, which is the Nitri Raj. I love this incense, love it. So that is lit. I've got my candles lit, my kind of petrified wood. I love wood, this beautiful piece of petrified wood. And I'm just in a mood to, just to play with some cards and show them to you. So let's take a look. When I said as well that the title, this is obviously the full card, and it's quite impressionist as well, but trying to see if there's a slight colour difference, but that could just be down to printing. I don't think there's any major differences here. So as I said, the card titles are in French, but there are no numbers on the majors. There is when it comes to the minors, but there are no numbers. I love La Papesse. Our High Priestess is just gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. I'm wondering if I should perhaps zoom in. Yeah, let's zoom in so you can have a better, a better look. Okay. So, and these cards are available from Printer Studio. That will be down below. I'll also list Laurie LePage's website down below so you can have a look at her and her work. Currently on Printer Studio, this deck is selling for $24.30. So that's really good. And if you're in the UK, that's just under £20, which is brilliant, because this is an amazing deck. I just think, you know, it's not like any other Marseille style deck. Every card is unique. So yeah, so no numbers, Roman numerals, except for death. Death does have the Roman numeral for 13, X111, or I should say. But just look how each card is so individual. And again, you know, the use of colour, the fiery red of the Emperor, it's just wonderful. Cardstock is really nice as well. I know Printer Studio sometimes gets a bad rep, but these are quite durable. They're nice and smooth. They're very, very easy to shuffle. Here's our Pope card. We have the two supplicants here. I'm not going to edge this one. They are the same, exactly the same card thickness, no changes to the card at all. What I love about this this deck as well is when you lay the cards out in a spread, they are beautiful because they're all different, but they all have this same sort of art style. So they, you know, you can tell it's not like decks that are created by 78 different artists, even though each card has a unique coloration and style. It's the same art style, if that makes sense. So they look beautiful laid out in a spread. Now with Marseille, the strength card will come in at position 11. This hasn't been shuffled yet because I only got it yesterday, and it was in the 8 position, which is like the RWS. But they're without number, so it doesn't really matter once it's shuffled. It's just the strength card, the force card. So it's just beautiful. And here's our Hermit. I love the Hermit card. Love it. Look how it's dark, you know? It's night time and that light shining out. Here's our Wheel of Fortune. I think set against that red background is just so striking. Justice. And actually on Printer Studio, there is a little quote. I think it's from Laurie LePage, and it said, let me try and get this right. The place where paint meets the mind and boring runs away in fear. And I really love that. The place where paint meets the mind and boring runs away in fear. And there is nothing boring about this deck. Look at that death card. So here you see we have the Roman numeral. That's the only time they appear in the majors. And I love this, the sort of pelvic bone, how that's almost like the lemniscate design, isn't it? So you've got that infinity, that death, continuing cycle of death and rebirth, one door opening as another one's just closed, etc. Here we have Temperance. Just beautiful. Such earthy tones to it, even with the water, you know. The Devil, fiery red. It's just so gorgeous. The Tower. And here's our Star card. We do have some nudity, which is quite traditional. The Moon, I love the Moon card. I love the expression in the moon face. I love the colours of it. It's just beautiful. I love the way the title is written as well, which is quite different to a lot of the others. And I love the vibrancy of the red. The Sun card. Very traditional RWS. TDM. Judgment. Look at the rays coming down. And then we have the stunning World card, Le Monde. Really beautiful. So that's our majors, and then we go into the cups. So here we have the numbers, Roman numeral at the bottom. I'll go a little bit quicker through the minors, but they're just so beautiful. The pink and the blue together. Wow. Oops. So every single card is unique. Look how you go from like a grey background to a white background to like a tan colour. The beautiful flowers, look at these daisies in between. Just really lovely. And here's our Valet, the Page. I love the facial expressions, just the simple line drawing with these gorgeous explosions of colour. Our Knight. The Queen. And the King. So you see there's absolutely no change at all to the artwork. Oh, I've got them the wrong way around. Bear with. Okay. Yeah, so no change at all to the artwork. It's just literally the backs. Beautiful look. I love this deck so much. Oh. our swords. And you'll see how the and even though Laurie says that this isn't and it's not traditional just by its style, but it replicates Marseille beautifully, you know. And I used to struggle when I first got a deck, which was 1987, at the age of 16. I couldn't tell the swords and the wands apart. I used to be like, now what is this? But with Marseille, and I'm just talking to people who absolutely know nothing about Marseille, you get this curvature when it comes to swords, and wands are straight. And they're beautiful. So that, you know, the Five of Swords, we get this dark sort of black, more introduction of black. And then look at that. The Eight of Swords, Seven of Swords, sorry. And the Nine of Swords. So very dramatic now with its colour tones. Oops. And particularly with the Ten of Swords. But of course, 10 in numerology is completion. Okay, our Valet. Oops. And then we have the Pentacles, or with it being Marseille, coins. And I love coins in Marseille decks. Cups and coins in particular, I love in Marseille decks. Well, I love them all. I think Marseille pips are stunning. The arrangements and patterns, and I just think they're beautiful. But isn't that a gorgeous Ace of Coins? This is where traditionally within the Marseille decks, with the Two of Coins, that would be the date and the creator, etc. So Laurie LePage's signature here, it says 2017, which is when the deck would have been painted. And then it says here, Tarot Des Aux Arcs across the bottom. And that's very traditional and very in keeping with Marseille style decks to have that with the Two of Coins. These always remind me of cherries, but such a burst of colour. Really beautiful. I love that. So pretty. Just beautiful. I can't believe I've never done a walkthrough of this deck. That's because I thought I had. Our Cavalier, Queen, and our King. So there you go. So only differences is the backs, first edition and second edition. So lots of comments I get about I'm wanting to learn Marseille. I don't know where to begin. What I'm about to say to you now is just my suggestion, and please, tarot purists out there, don't come at me saying you're teaching people wrong. This is just how I do it. We're all different. I'm just going to take out the ace to tens from the deck. And just to demonstrate, so I have done, I did it a few weeks ago when I was talking, so we've just got minus here, 40 cards, okay, which is the majority just of the deck, okay. I'm just assuming that people know how to read the majors, because again, somebody who learnt the RWS, I think if I pull the moon card, I still think about illusion and intuition and all those sort of things. But if I pull a particular pip card from a Marseille and I don't have that scenic imagery to go on, I can understand why some people are a little intimidated by reading pips. So I did, for a couple of catch-up cards a few weeks ago, little cheat sheet, if you like, basics of the pips. Again, if you know anything about tarot, no matter what system, then generally in the main, and I watched a video this morning by Phoenix Rising, I forget the name of the deck now, but it's by the creator of the Radiant Sun. They had swapped cups and swords around, I think. I often see wands and swords switched, but as a general rule of thumb, most tarot decks, systems and creators will go with cups being emotions, so love, friendship, intuition, and that represents the element of water. Wands is around desires, drive, motivation, passion, and that's the element of fire. And there, of course, there are more keywords than this. I've just gone through, 4 as a basic, so it doesn't become too complicated. Swords is the mind, thoughts, connection, our self-expression, and is representing the element of air. Pentacles is substance, finances, reality, the tangible, the material, and that represents the element of earth. So, things like your job, your home life, and all that sort of thing. And then just 1 or 2 basics to go with. So 1 is always about the beginning. It's 1. It's the first step. So your ace of coins is about planting that seed. Maybe starting to save, or if you want some tangible results, it's got to begin with the first step. 2, balance, duality, bringing together, pushing apart, growth. And we're talking about new growth, because 7, I put new growth there, that's an error, but growth, that beginning to grow, whereas the growth of 7 is, we have the disruption of 5 and the stability of 6, and then you get that growth again. So it is a new growth. So, but I suppose really here, I should just call it growth. Going in a direction. 4, stability. So having something stable. And I always say, think of, a chair or a stool. If you've got a chair that's got 3 legs, you're going to topple over. You don't have that stability there. Whereas you've got the 4 legs, solid structure, stability. 5 is around disruption. So it disturbs and destabilizes. 6 is that calming after the disruption, the stabilizing, and can lead to harmony. 7, as I said, is that growth that comes from that again, that, you know, due to your inner convictions. 8 is mastery. Caution can lead to stagnation. 9 is around attainment, energy, dynamic energy, and 10 is the completion and that sense of everything finally coming together. Okay, so with that in mind, this is how I always choose a card. When you see me pull a card each week, you can see I'm splitting the pack. So here we have the 2 of Wands. Okay, so we've got the balance and duality of our desires, that drives us and motivates us, our passion, it's fire energy. So if we're talking about balance, bringing together or pushing apart, and we're thinking about a particular question, whatever it is, maybe it's time to weigh up our options. What is it that we're feeling motivated towards? What is our passion? What direction do we want to go in? And how do we find a balance to achieve that? 4 of Cups, stability of our emotions. So we have stability and emotions. So maybe, again, depending on the position, if it's a current position, maybe we're finding that actually having gone through something that's been quite an upheaval on an emotional level, something traumatic on an emotional level, then we're getting that stabilizing. Our emotions are starting to settle and we're feeling more stable. Or it could be, for again in a future position, that stability is coming for us on an emotional level. Just do one more. So here we have Swords and we have the 6 of Swords. So we've got the stabilizing after a disruption. So Swords is our thoughts, our minds. Maybe, you know, we've been through the ringer and we feel like, particularly with our thoughts, you know, that sort of disruption, maybe we've been through a period of anxiety or stress, then we're starting to have that stability coming again and that harmony when it comes to our mind, our thoughts, our self-expression, etc. So I hope that helps. And, you know, I'm not hopefully preaching to the converted. It's just kind of something to help people when they say, I really don't know where to begin. Feel free to copy that. I had a conversation with Patrick probably about 18 months ago. And it was when I first started to pick up Patrick from The Living Wheel, sorry. And we had a conversation, and he was just driving in his car and he was telling me what those 10 mean to him. I've also looked at people like Kelly, who's Kelly from The Truth in Story, who really, her preferred system is Marseille and Pip decks. And there are pluses and minuses. I've just noticed as well, there is a copyright on the back of the first edition and there isn't anywhere. That's great. No copyright, and I know copyright can put people off. So this says Tarot Des Aux Arcs, instead of Des. Laurie LePage 2017, and this is copyright free. Well, it's not copyright free. I should have said that. There is no copyright appearing anywhere on the card. It's free of it appearing. Not that you can go and copy these cards. Just to be clear. Yeah, so it's kind of an amalgamation of things that I've learned. Trying to see if I had a book up here on the basics of numerology as well. I think it's on the bookcase in the hall now. So yeah. So I hope you enjoyed this walkthrough of Tarot Des Aux Arcs or Ozarks. And yeah, just a basic quick tutorial about numerology ace through to 10. All right, guys, so I'll be back tomorrow, Monday, for a quarantine stream. I hope you're having a fantastic weekend. Enjoy the remainder of it, and until next time, look after yourselves. Go in peace. Namaste and blessed be.